welcome to this edition of Southern Lummi, Hauhitan Senetsnat, Chukwalummisan, Haichka, Haichka, Haichka. Yes, again, we call this Southern Lummi because a lot of us live here in the Coachella Valley near Palm Springs, California, in the desert. And just because we are no longer on the reservation doesn't make us any less Lummi. We're just living in Southern Lummi. And so again, thank you so much for joining me. Today we've got a special guest, and I'll get to that in a second. But again, the conversation that we're going to have is basically all about the Lummi Constitution, and it really the Lummi Constitution itself has a lot of framework to it. It's what the bylaws and the policies and procedures that we have is built upon. It starts with the foundation, which is that Constitution. So whatever's in that document is the letter of the law. That as long as you can't build and put policies or bylaws or laws, they can't conflict with that Constitution. So that's why it's so important that we're talking about that. And without the Constitution, you don't get self-government. And without self-government, you're going to have the Bureau of Indian Affairs that will be like the parent to the as the guardian to the kid, so to speak. And so I'm thankful that we're going to definitely have a really good conversation with my special guest in just a minute. But I do, again, want to send special thanks and congratulations to all the graduates, all of our Lummi High School graduates. My mom, Dodie Williams, works at the K through 12 school and has shared all kinds of positive messages about the outgoing graduates and ones that are heading out to Northwest Indian College or University of Washington or Washington State University. Go Cougs. And so again, congratulations to the parents, the guardians, the grandparents, anybody that's raising our future generation leaders. Thank you so much. And I hope nothing but the best for them in their next chapter of education or life. So thank you so much again for that. We also, again, as we get close to Stomach, definitely want to just send my good lucks, my hopes, my wishes and dreams to the Stomach Committee. It feels weird not, again, for the last, I think my last voice or helping to be the voice of Stomach was 2017, I believe, or it might have been 18. So it's been at least 8 years since I was able to get to Stomach, nonetheless be on the microphone. But I know that the folks that are doing that work now are good and hoping for positive weather, smooth waters. And, I don't know if you guys saw that video of up in, I think it was Chehalis or somewhere north of the border, Cultus Lake, of the canoe clubs who were fighting right in front of the ongoers on the beach. The folks that were watching from the beach, and people were recording the folks that were literally swinging the paddles and all the things that you kind of reserve for when you're out away from the people. You kind of see that if you were to put a drone out there in the middle of the water where there was a lot less people watching, but then to do it in front of everybody was really very rare that you see that. Usually they play pretty fair when they go around those buoys to try to gain a better position. But I'm hoping nothing but good vibes is what I'm saying for Stomach this year. I heard that there's a carnival coming up, so I hope it's very safe, that we have enough security folks to make sure everybody's, especially the kiddos, are safe. So please keep an eye on all your children, your grandchildren, your nieces and nephews, Hopefully they stay by your side and not run off somewhere. And bad things happen when that happens sometimes. So, but again, happy Stomach, happy graduations to all the folks there up in Lummi Nation. All right, joining me on the Improved Lummi Nation page, this podcast called Southern Lummi, is an old friend of mine. I think we might be somewhat related. I think I'm related to everybody on the res, but I want to welcome Teresa Ray Bumatay to the show. It's my very first interview on this podcast. And Teresa Ray, do you want to just introduce yourself?
Teresa Ray Bumatay, I'm Lummi tribal member, a former tarot director, and I am ready to move forward with some constitutional amendments.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's something that I know. I was telling you pre-recording of this that my late uncle Penny Hilaire was chairman at the time when the current Constitution. I think it's been amended once or twice. I want to say, but it was just a bookmark, and he asked me to remind folks, that we need to revise it. That we needed just at the time we were just trying to get out of the BIA's shadow and do things on our own and be self-governing. And so over the years, I think you and I were talking about a few attempts of folks trying to use the processes at the time to revise this constitution. So it wasn't for a lack of trying back in the 90s and the early 2000s and then the mid 2010s. So what first drew you into studying the Constitution, and when did you realize that amendments were necessary?
I actually realized that amendments were necessary because the policies were not being followed. Personal reasons, really. I saw procedures were just being wiped away, like basically, like, oh, we don't need to look at that, or oh, this does not need to be followed. So, in my frustration with my own personal issues, I was like, this is not okay. We need to change some things in the Constitution, because I saw that the um, I saw that the power was taken away from the community back in 2006. I think they changed the amendments into the Constitution, saying that they were going to take recommendations from the general council instead of listen to the general council. So, just tweaking the words a little bit actually took the whole power away from the tribe, the community. Um, when I noticed, I kept hearing people talking online too. People were furious about the HR not being followed, policies from terminations. There was a bunch of terminations that happened. A lot of people were frustrated with not being told what to do or what policies to follow, or if these policies were being broken. So it had a major impact on not just me, but other community members. Policies in accounting was another big one. There's accounting stuff going on that the community is unaware of. There's no transparency. People don't know what is going on with the tribe or where the spending is going. There's questions I saw from community members. They want to know, well, why did this person get to go to this function but not the other person? Like, why are we funding people if it's not supposed to be funded? But, if it's easily transparent, if people can easily explain why they're doing something, why not explain it instead of saying, oh, that's their right. That's what they can do. Like, we can approve people. Well, tell us why. Tell us why they're being approved or why this amount is being spent.
Well, I know that the things that you're talking about, again, I'm not, and we're not here to bash this current council. I think that we're both clear on that. We don't want to do that.
No.
We're talking about the overall process has been like this. When I lived there, 2018, 19, and I tried, running for council, and I tried, getting on commissions, and I think I was on Economic Development Commission one time. It just feels like a lot of this stuff has been backwards.
Mhm.
Like the council are going off the letter of the law, which states that general counsel, the voting members, are can only just be recommenders to what they're doing, not drive the process, not tell council this is what we want. Does your petition say that? Does it say that the power, basically giving more power to the people, or is it
Yes.
sort of back onto the recommendation side of the spectrum?
So amendments made in 2006 shifted general counsel's role towards recommending body rather than governing authority. This has reduced the direct power of the people in decision making and oversight. Restoring authority ensures governance remains rooted in the membership and strengthens accountability of elected officials. So my recommendation to change is the general council shall retain ultimate governing authority over the Lummi Indian Business Council. The general council shall have the authority to review, approve, reject, and direct actions of the Lummi Indian Business Council. Decisions of the general council shall be binding upon the Lummi Indian Business Council. The Lummi Indian Business Council shall implement and carry out all lawful decisions made by the General Council.
See that, and that I think I was telling you earlier too about when I talk to elected leaders here in California, and I've got some of the big ones, big mover and shakers in all of Indian country, Pachanga, San Manuel, Agua Caliente. You know, these guys are like in DC, they're moving legislation. They're kind of like the way Lummi was back in the 80s and 90s. But now, and I asked them, it's like, well, why don't you build X, Y, or Z? And they're like, their first question to back to me, a response, I got to go back to the general counsel first for that idea. And I just like, what? Why?
I love that.
And they're like, well, why not? And I'm like, well, we don't do that at Lummi. They're like, what? What are you talking about? Like, I would love to be a council member up there. Like, not have to answer to nobody. It's like, no, they just on election day. That's it. What? That's ridiculous. You know, they kind of laugh about it, but it
But
really
that's
is.
the truth.
Yeah, it's not a laughing matter. It really is the reason why I believe things get done down here. The general council down here says we want this, and they all vote on it, and it's the power of the people. It's their voice, and then people run and say, I want to help do that. And if they don't make any progress or they don't give any communication on progress, they're gone. They
Yeah.
don't get reelected. And here it's the opposite. So that's kind of like what you've been saying or what you've been hearing or feeling.
Yes. So it's all the talk that's online. People are just sick of decisions being made and not talking to general counsel. We need to have more community involvement in these big, huge decisions being made. Like we had big, huge purchases that the community had no idea that they were being made, like the baseball field, the golf course, things like that. People were like, wait, when did we decide this? How did this happen? The general counsel was not consulted.
Right.
So
Because they didn't have to be.
no.
They didn't have to be. The Constitution states it. They're just recommenders.
Yeah.
They don't have to. So, but there's one way. And again, that's what the council members were like, well, even if it's written in the Constitution, why would they still do business like that? I'm like, honestly, I don't know. That's why I was trying to get on council so that I could help get us back on track. Yeah. And it just never happened. But the other petition that we got going here is on transparency of the money. I think that's another really big question mark. You brought it up already with travel and other major big ticket items of spending. Describe a little bit more on that petition with the transparency of the money.
So that one is
Yeah.
oversight and performance review of financial officials. The explanation that I put on here was financial officials and administrative leadership hold significant authority over tribal funds, budgets, and operational decisions that directly impact the tribe, its departments, and its members. Concerns regarding transparency, accountability, and the effects of financial decision-making on tribal programs and leadership have demonstrated the need for clear oversight authority. Under the current constitution, the general counsel's role is limited to advising and making recommendations without the authority to require reporting or ensure accountability. Establishing general counsel oversight ensures that financial operations remain transparent, leadership is accountable to the membership, and decisions affecting tribal resources are subject to review by the people.
Wonderful. I'm getting back to, again, some of the conversation down here. They got it to the point now where some of the tribes have apps that actually share digitally in real time what is being spent. And it's only, there's a threshold. I think it's like 15 or 20,000 or more gets placed in this app, but because they're like, oh, 8,000, 5,000, whatever. But it actually, then you click on it and it literally tells you in layman's terms what it was spent for and what area of the people's decision did that fit under. So if they say they wanted, to change or have more prevention for their children to not get into drugs and alcohol,
Yeah.
you would actually see that, and it would be tied to whatever the general counsel wanted. And it's like, oh, okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. Now, is that something like you envision one day us having something similar to that, or
Yes.
okay.
Well, so the other thing was restriction of the travel. It's not a constitutional amendment. It has to be a resolution. And I've written three separate different resolutions. One of them being the travel, because concerns have been raised that such requirements are not consistently followed, enforced, or in all instances of official travel. So they're not telling us what they're traveling for. They're not telling us what they're spending the funding on. People are questioning why funding is being given to certain councilmen and then not being have to told, well, what did they spend that on? How come he got so much? Or how much did he actually in fact get? Like that got brought up. I saw somebody actually posted a no. It
Oh,
was
whoops.
but that's where this one came from. Like
Okay.
people are concerned about travel.
Yeah.
Like
And
okay, well, why is my family less important than this council member's family? How come they get fully funded for stuff, but I'm over here and I have to do a fundraiser and I barely made it to be able to get my whole family over there to this sports event and not even like a conference or a training or something. We're having our council members spend money on going to a sports event for the kids, which is important,
mhm,
but do fundraisers. Give
yeah,
yourself get yourself over there to support this sports team like on your own. Not don't use the tribe's money. If you're telling somebody else they can't use that money, don't use it for yourself.
right.
There's it's a yeah,
I hear that.
it's horrible.
Is credit cards spending, is that the other kind of thing? Because I know when was helping run Silver Reef Hotel, and even right now, and I've worked for Southern California Edison, it's a power company. They give me a credit card,
Yeah.
and my job is to reconcile that each month with receipts over a certain threshold. I think it's $75 for me here, but at Silver Reef, it was like almost every penny we had to have a receipt for it. Is
Yeah.
that something? I know that I've been hearing rumors that some council members are not turning receipts in,
Yep.
or they're, just spending freely and not nobody's there to slap them on the hand and say, quit it.
Well, you know what? We don't know because they're not transparent about it. So that's what this would help with. And that's what the CFO oversight, the financial oversight one will help with also, because I think that they're covering tracks for council members that they shouldn't be. Like all of them need to be transparent with what they're spending with their credit cards and with what's going out the door.
Yeah,
Like, why are they telling us that we have no funding, but yet they're still spending money on things they won't tell us what it is.
right. No, they won't. Because again, they don't have to.
They don't have
They
to.
don't currently have to. But if I
So,
was on council, I would still want to.
yeah,
That's
you
what I
would
don't
be
understand.
the other one. Since I know that this has been a big issue. Our council members are hard to get a hold of. They really
Yeah.
are. A lot of them don't like to respond. I've witnessed it myself personally. I've tried to get a hold of a few different council members. They don't like to respond. They're not in the office or they're off doing God knows what. I mean,
Yeah.
hopefully it's for the tribe.
Yeah.
But
Right. I mean, yeah. Sorry.
I want to do a resolution to cut their hourly pay back to stipends. Um, make them work for it. If they actually want to be in the office and work for our people, they'll stay there for these stipends instead of getting the hourly pay
Ev-
because
yeah.
it's
Everything
not
you're
right.
saying right now, Teresa Ray, are things that I know since the new admin building was built, and everybody's like, I think there was somebody that posted on the nosy neighbors page about, if you think you're just going to roll into the admin building for just a minute, you better just, mark off an hour because you'll be in there talking to everybody. But
Yeah.
everybody knows when council comes in and when they're where they're at. Like they don't know where they're at, but they know when they come in. And so you got some aunties or uncles that are sitting out in the lobby and like, I haven't seen so and so come through, because,
They
but
just posted up right there on the
yeah,
couches waiting.
exactly. And it's like, how do we know that they're actually working for, and who signs off on their time cards?
Yeah.
And, who's watching their hours? Like, nobody's watching the
No.
boat, and the boat
They're
is
watching each other. That's what it
right,
is.
right.
So this needs to change from getting the regular council meetings. I even put on here what it should be, the stipends.
Good. Well,
So,
is it 160 and
yep.
$160 a meeting, I think is what I read.
Yep. And then for the CBCs, like the regular commission meetings, because they're all assigned to a commission,
Okay.
120 per meeting, and special meetings will be 120 per meeting, maximum 6 per year. So
And I heard that every commission, board, and committee has a stipend now. And when I was there, I got a nice thank you from a council member once for being on there, but never got a dime. So I'm like, every
it's
time I leave something, it gets better. That's why I left Lummi now.
they do 150 per
Oh my
meeting now.
God, that would have
I
been
know.
nice back then.
It was 75 and they just bumped it up to 150. And then for tasks, I believe it's like 35 an hour instead of 15.
Wow, that's a lot of money.
It is.
That's got to
It
be in the
really is.
millions to do that, I would think.
So on
I don't
those
know.
same lines, well, on the same lines, doing the reduction of the tribal council, which was the first petition that got turned in, reducing tribal council from the number of 11 down to 7. That's going to save $500,000 a year if we
Nice.
don't move forward with this hourly pay.
Okay.
This hourly pay one is going to save millions. So
Wow. Yeah, that's great. That's great. And again, if general counsel had a say, we
yeah,
would be able to say we want that money to go to whatever it is that fund to fund
trainings,
something. Yeah.
all the
Or the
trainings, the wonderful trainings that I was doing.
yeah, but which would help save the tribal members money from what you told me. Like so, I think and I know getting to the size of the council. That's another question I get from folks down here. It's like, how many members on your council? I'm like 11. They're like, holy crap, 11.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, you got to remember that back in the day when this was first introduced, this constitution, we were heavy fisher people. I mean, back then, and to try to get folks, especially in the summer, to come in back off the water, we needed enough bodies to be able to have a quorum. So 11 sounded fine, but I hate to say, but over the decades, that has changed, right? Then
Yeah.
we don't, and even though we've gotten bigger as a tribe over the last 20 years, and we'll get bigger, I still think 11 is still way too many bodies. And it always has been, I think.
Yeah. It definitely has been. I get that a lot too. In the tarot world, people are always like, how many council members? And I'm like, 11. They're like, well, how many pieces of land do you guys have? I'm like, one. Like, well, why do
Are you
you
like
need
four
so many?
reservations?
I
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, like the Navajo Nation, they've got like 18, and they're like the
North
biggest
Carolina.
reservation in the entire country.
Yeah, North Carolina too. They got like 16. So they're like, oh, is that well like one Senate per like area? And I'm like, no, just the one. They're like, why?
Because we're just glutton for punishment, I think.
Yeah, pretty much, pretty much.
Well, I think the last one that I noticed is the direct election of officers. So, two of
Yes.
them, the qualifications. Let's talk about that first, because again,
So
as a former candidate, I could say with strong conviction that voters really don't care about qualifications,
and they need to.
and they need to, right? And so I was, I ran up against, and you guys all know who I ran against, who was on the same ticket as me. And some of them I were eye level. We had both of us had really good, and then some of us they were way behind, from the other. But why is qualifications for council so important?
So the qualifications was a big one because, the council is running multi-million dollar government. Like they need to have like a law background, business background, financial accounting background to be able to make these decisions that are being made for our people to get us out of poverty, to get us more jobs, and to be able to make these financial decisions that are being made. It's important to be able to have an education. I mean, the way that the government is going right now, we're going downhill because we have people that are not educated sitting in some of these seats. I'm not saying all of them are uneducated because we do have some that have educations in there. But the ones that don't, they don't understand what they're doing. They don't understand the financial workings of accounting and, how to, I don't know, how to balance a damn checkbook.
Right?
Things
Or
like that.
how to read a resolution?
Yeah.
that's in front of them to vote on. I
So
mean, I'm
I,
not saying people are illiterate, but I mean,
but they don't
again,
understand some of the wording at
right.
all.
And I think that the other sort of rebuttal I could hear people say, and I remember saying this back in the day, well, there's the white man's qualifications and then there's the Lummi qualifications. So, does the Lummi qualifications have anything to do on this one, or is it just we're assuming everybody that runs for council are from the reservation and from Lummi and are good enough to be on council,
So that's basically what they have right now, the Lummi qualifications, like basically who's your family and who's popular right now.
right?
That's how you're going to get elected. If you have a big family that can back you up and give you the votes, you're going to get on.
Yeah,
So
that's
right
true.
now, so I put in here, all tribal council members shall possess qualifications demonstrating competency in governance, administration, law, finance, or leadership. Such qualifications shall include, but not be limited to, a bachelor's degree in tribal governance, public administration, business administration, law, finance, or a related field, or equivalent education, professional training, or demonstrated experience in governance, leadership, or administration. So
Wow.
it's not hard to get our tribal members to get into office with these qualifications. There's some, like the job description for mine, I showed it to some of the council members and they go, Teresa, we can't post this. There's nobody qualified for this position. And I'm like, I am.
Hmm. There's
Like,
people, yeah,
yeah, I have the qualifications for this, but
right,
we have the same qualifications. We need to get people that have these qualifications in these positions instead of the ones that are just wanting to be on council.
right,
And getting the stipend, moving it to stipend is going to change a lot of the people that are going to be applying and trying to run for council too. It's got to be the people that actually want to make a change for our community instead of the ones that are there for the paycheck.
right, absolutely. And being able to be in a meeting, be able to
Yes.
follow what's being said, to be able to have had enough
Understand it.
experience and education to be able to understand the words.
Mm-hmm.
And then, because you're dealing with lawyers, you're dealing with CFOs and financial folks that are outside of the reservation. You got energy folks like me coming in talking energy. Do you know how to say, I don't know what you're talking about? Or, hey, please use words a little bit lower for me. Like
Yeah.
that's part of education is that you've got that sort of background to be able to ask the teacher or the professor, I'm not getting this. Can you help me? That's what education does. And you
Mm-hmm.
might, you might not have a full, master's of business degree like some of us have or doctorate, but if you have that experience in education, which we've all been told since we were knee high, go get that education, son, and bring it back to the reservation.
Yep.
For what? You can't get the job because you're overqualified. You can't get on council because you're too white, because you're not, it's really frustrating. So I think this one speaks to, I remember one of the elders at the time told me, I'm voting for somebody that can understand how to read, how to write, and how to do math in their
Yeah.
head. That's it. And if they've got those reading, writing,
Just
arithmetic,
setting the bar real low.
they set it up really low, but it speaks to the education piece.
Yeah.
It speaks to, setting the bar higher, that's what we need.
Yeah.
And I guess at the time they weren't anybody. There were folks that didn't know how to read or didn't know how to write that were on council. And so you kind of, it's almost like anything. What do you put into a leadership is what you're going to get out of it. And if you don't have those things to be able to read and write to put into it, you're not going to get much out of it as a leader.
I think our generation was the one that was told we need to get out there, get the education from these white people, and then just make sure that you use it. Like, use what they give you against them. And that's what we need to do.
Exactly. But if we can't even get past some of this stuff as just the basic things, like a constitution is a foundational piece to, then building off of that, then trying to, it's really difficult to do that if we're not kind of cleaning up our own backyard, which I think these resolutions and petitions are doing.
Yeah.
So I know the last one on here is the direct election of officers. The general counsel gets to say who's chairperson, vice chair, treasurer, secretary. And I know that one has been on the several attempts to do over the last 30 years to revise, because as we all know, the current process, and maybe folks who are watching don't know this, but the 11 council members are the ones currently that will sort of have backdoor meeting to say who's going to be chair, vice chair, those big four, they call them the big four positions,
Yeah.
because they're highly paid. I
Yeah.
don't know what the number is. Again, we don't have the
60
financial.
something.
Is it $60 an hour? Or
60 something an hour. Yeah.
yeah, so that is crazy.
Mhm.
Um, but what is your resolution trying to say then, or your petition trying to say, instead of the council members coming up with those top four, you're saying the voters should be the ones that do that?
Yes. So I've noticed, like, I do the elections every single year. I vote and I make sure to vote for who I think is more qualified to be in the positions. I never understood myself why we were never able to vote on who the chairman was or who the vice chairman was. And the last few years I would hear like, oh, we were going to decide like so and so was going to be in this position. Like, I'm like, oh, so you guys already knew who was going to be where? Like, how does that work? That's not right. And also, like, if we had to have a council member step down, they get to choose who that person is that's going to sit in those seats. That's not right. We elected them in. We need to elect that other person in. We need to be able to tell them who we want sitting in these seats. They should not be sitting amongst each other and just choosing who's going to sit where. So this next petition, the last one, I want to change it to where we choose who sits in which seat. It's only fair if we elect them, we get to say who's going to sit where.
Yeah, and I know that, again, just comparing again to tribes outside of Lummi, most tribes do that. They have their own chairperson runoff, they have their own vice chairperson runoff, and you see signs down here, Geneva Mojado for vice chair, like
Yeah.
they are literally running for that second in command position. And really, especially the chairperson, they're the face of the reservation, the face of the tribe. They're the ones getting interviewed by CNN and Bellingham Herald and other folks. So I think that they should be representative of as many of us as possible and approachable as possible too.
Yeah, definitely, because we need people in there that want to actually make the changes for us and actually speak to the people. And I think a lot of these changes, it's going to open their eyes. The council members that are currently sitting, they're going to have to realize, oh my God, we really do need to speak to the community now. We need to take in consideration what they want because they have more power than what they had before. So it's going to change a lot.
I
I'm
hope
excited
so.
about it.
And that's what this podcast is designed to do. It's an improved Lummi page that I put this on. And I always try to push out, what are ways we can improve. I'm not saying bash, I'm not saying,
No.
be negative, but these resolutions, again, a lot of this has been conversation we've had for 30, 40 plus years, that it feels like you were trying to come to a head on this finally. How did the process work? Did you, because again, some of us, I tried doing a cannabis petition back in 2016. I didn't follow the process. I had all those signatures back then that got thrown out because I missed the very first step, which I didn't know that that step was even there. So tell us a little bit about how this is working, how it's been working for you to get all these signatures.
Well, luckily, I was able to have my mom help me a lot on everything. If I didn't have her to walk me through the process and formatting, because I didn't know that you had to have like, see, every signature page has to have like what they're signing right here and then signatures there on the
Right.
bottom.
That's
And
what I
then
meant.
you have to label the top on what
Yeah.
you're going to be labeling it. And you have to have a cover sheet. Because what I sent her was just all one big thing and it had like 3 pages.
That's
She's
what
like,
I
no,
did.
that
Yep.
is not right. And I'm
No.
like, oh, why don't we work together on this? And she's like, okay, because I wanted to do one anyways. And I was like, I will write it for you. I will get it written and then hand it over and then you can help me format. And she's like, okay. So my mom was a big supporter and a big player in getting this ready. Um, I got her petition ready, which was the reduction of council members from 11 to 7. She went and got her signatures, turned that one in. I waited a little bit. I wanted to see if the process actually worked and went through, and it did. So I was like, all right, I'm doing mine now.
I'll follow
We
the same
did a little
process.
guinea pig with that one.
Yeah, yeah, nice work.
Yeah.
So what was the conversations that you were having with people when you were getting these signatures? Was there anger? Was there like frustration with a lot of folks? Tell us what kind of sentiment you were getting.
It was a lot of frustration. So a lot of the people talked to me online. I posted a lot on my page, The Sovereign and Unfiltered. I made sure to be clear on what I was doing, on the wants and needs that the community was asking for. I reached out to a lot of people that were posting on that page and personally talked with them and met up with some of them and told them, this is why I'm doing this. This is what needs to be turned in. Are you comfortable with signing these? Let me know and I can come and meet you.
Right.
So me living about 45 minutes away from people, I would only be able to go like every other day or so. But I would go out and meet with people, and it was just a lot of frustration.
Yeah.
A lot of people were just like, oh my God, this is a big relief. Like, I'm so happy that you're doing this. These are
Mhm.
the changes that we need. Everything that you were saying, I was hearing it, and they're just like, thank you. Thank you for getting this done. Like, this is
Good.
something that has to happen.
Yeah, absolutely. I know a lot of people have not benefited from this constitution the way it is. And openly, the 11 council for the last 40 years have benefited from this outdated constitution.
Yes.
And it's not, again, not bashing them. They're living within the boundaries that which the
Hmm.
constitution gives them. And some of them are taking full advantage of it
Oh,
over
yeah.
the last 40 years. And some of them have been kind of like, oh, I'm afraid to do that because I still, the optics of it or whatever. So by doing this, what are the some of the things that rather than, because there's two paths to getting this done, right? There's the petition path, and then there's the 2/3 vote of the business council's path, which I think
That
the
one.
resolution.
So those ones are separate. No, those ones are separate things. So if we wanted to get the 2/3,
Of the
it's going to
business
be
council.
of the business council. That would
Yeah.
be for something else.
Okay.
The petitions that I'm trying to get passed right now, they don't require the 2/3 voter. We just need the 30, but
Okay.
I made it for 60.
Okay.
Um, those special ones would be like, um, I think that we need to do that for this next steps for the removing four of the council members. It's going to be a vote of the 2/3. So they're going to have to do a special general council vote elections. So it's going to be a separate election thing on the ballots saying, do you guys agree with reducing the amount of council members from 11 to 7? So it's
Right.
going to be a yes or no. That's where we're going to do that type of thing.
Okay.
So this right now is introducing the petitions, and that's why I only needed 30 on there.
Okay. So tell us the next steps. What's next now that you got this? You said that the council secretary did sign off on them, and that's going to go in front of which council, or the council on which date?
On Tuesday, the
Oh,
16th.
this coming Tuesday.
Yeah.
Holy smokes. Are you
So
looking for more people to come and share that moment with you, or you're just
yeah,
like, whatever?
no, people can come in and sit. I just don't know when they're going to do it because it could turn into like an all day thing. So I'll be there in the morning and just kind of waiting.
Yeah.
We don't know how long it takes them. I never know how long it takes them to go through everything and get through the agendas. I haven't even gotten a copy of what the agenda looks like right now. I just know that I got an email saying that the enrollment has verified the signatures that I turned in and that it will be on the agenda for them to look over and discuss.
Okay. So then what happens after they discuss? What's the next step after that?
The next step is they got to bring it to general counsel.
So it'll
So,
be at a general council meeting that they'll bring this up.
yep. And then they were supposed to bring up the reduction of general council members at the last council meeting, but I don't know. I think they kind of went over it and they were supposed to have a meeting because we need to get a constitutional committee together. I don't think that they have met in a while. And I know Auntie Juanita Jefferson was going to be meeting with councilman, chairman, and ask him what we were going to do and what the next steps are. So we got to wait for response from that.
My best advice, because I was in, and if Auntie Juanita is probably watching this, don't get a council member in that room when you're talking
No,
about the Constitution, because they, again, not just say that or bash council, they are benefiting from this Constitution. They
it
are.
needs to be like a separation.
It does. And the other thing about separation, while we're talking about that, again, we're talking about how council is in directors or supervisors. They do not need to be directors or supervisors because they live in a political sandbox where
Yeah.
everything that they do is, or I would more like to say, a fish tank that they swim in is political.
Hmm.
Everything's being watched. Every directive they give, every comment that it's so. Councils down here are not supervisors; they are policymakers. That's all they do is take a look at the laws
Yeah.
and make those big decisions about things that the general council wants, and being the hands and feet to get those things done. That's it. And they lean on a CEO who does all that. I mean, we were that way for a while, and I know it didn't work because council kept getting involved, and then they end up firing the CEO or the GM of the tribe. I always tell, because people are like, you should be the GM of the tribe. I'm like, you could put Jesus Christ in that position, and they'll still crucify him. But they need to stay out of it.
They
That's what
do.
they do. So I think that would be another one down the road about their responsibilities and looking at that a lot more
Well,
heavier.
they also, did you know they're the ones that hire and fire the CFO and the GM? So they shouldn't be the ones that pick who the CFO is going to be or the GM because right now it's not working. Like the person that they chose does not, it's not working.
Um,
So
right. I mean, again, down here they have an actual hiring group that's has its own role. They don't have any, they hire. So it's like nobody can even try to get somebody hired um, because they're like, that's their decision, not ours.
yeah.
And that's something that has worked as well quite a bit.
With this new petition, it's going to change how they hire and fire people. They have to consult with the general counsel to be able to see, are they actually qualified for these positions? Are they going to, what kind of decisions are they making? What was the reasoning behind what they did? And, they have to be transparent. So I think it's going to be a good change for us.
I think so too. It's really, again, it caught my eye just recently. I did, again, just thank you so much for coming on this last second. I asked you a little while ago and you were like, yes, I haven't got back. You got some time. So where can eligible voters find or find information? As you said, the sovereign
Sovereign
and
and Unfiltered on the
unfiltered.
Facebook.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's where you've been putting updates there.
Yes.
You're not looking for any more signatures. That's all done.
No, that's all done for right
Okay.
now. But
And
if
then,
there's anybody that has any other ideas that they want me to, move a petition forward for them, I will help. I'll do what I can. All of these petitions came forward with everybody's comments and concerns. That's why I did it.
right.
It was because the community brought all of these issues up, and then I got them going.
Yeah. Again, 2 states away. I mean, it sounds really, really bad up there. What's happening? It's all over. I know that there's mistrust now with it. I'm thankful I'm not the PR or communications people for the council right now because I know the temperature in the water is hot.
Hmm.
And then rightfully so, when you don't communicate and you're not transparent, people are left with their own decisions to figure out what they think. And of course, we're going to think negatively because of council, because we haven't had a really good council in a long time.
Well, they're
group.
not telling us what they're doing, so it's like, be transparent. Like, let
Right.
us know. I mean, if it's not a big deal, then tell everybody what's going on.
Exactly. That's it.
That's all that needs to happen.
God, again, that's again when I was running for council, that would have been my first thing. Is I think people would have got sick of me, you know, talking so much about what we're doing. So I just want to leave some space for you to deliver any final messages, any to the general council or anybody that's watching regarding the importance of this engagement in tribal affairs. What are your final thoughts on all this?
I just want to say, like I said before, if there's any suggestions for different separate petitions, feel free to reach out to me. I'm an open book. I like to talk and help and walk through things. I do know how to get these petitions done. Like you were saying before, like not a lot of people could get it done. I didn't realize that it was a huge issue, but having somebody with all the knowledge of how to get it done, like my mom, that was a big plus. So I am willing to help anybody I can with getting something passed and move forward. The importance of this is your voice. You need to have your community needs to have a voice. You need to be able to make these changes and make sure that if you see it enough that somebody is saying this is unfair, this is not right, this is unjust, a change needs to be made.
Mhm.
And that's what these are going to do. So that's the importance of it.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, this is why we are self-governing. It is the power of the people. I think earlier we were talking about, the general council needs to have a bigger voice. And I'm hoping that, the general council, because I'm not a general council member, even though I'm a tribal member, enrolled member of this tribe, I don't have a say in the vote because of the Constitution. And I got some tribes again that allow anybody that's 18 and over the right to vote, the right to have a say physically. So I have lots of wishes for the voters there that they do take this seriously, that they do reach out to you and others that might be alongside you eventually
Mhm.
to be able to take this seriously. These are really big. They say they throw a rock in the
Significant
yeah,
changes.
yeah, you throw a rock. This isn't a pebble in the water. This is a big rock in the water with the ripple effects. So that's why I wanted to have you on today, just to really help clarify questions I had, and you did a really good job of that. And to offer up the next steps for people and to stay involved. I think the last thing I'll say for you is I'm hoping one day that the general council gets so mobilized that we know every 18 and over person, we have their cell phone number and their email address, and we can communicate to them all the time. That
Mhm.
if they've got questions that someone's there to answer them, that's to me that's the movement. It's mobilizing us that to that level that you get a text message from somebody saying, "Hey, the meeting's at three o'clock. Hope to see you there." Or, "Hey, the council just passed this, whatever." Whatever it is, that's how mobilized we are because we are getting bigger. We're going to be 10,000 uh, tribal members in about I don't know what they say 15 years or something like that or
Yeah.
less. And so we've got a lot of work to do, and we got to update this constitution again for the late Uncle Penny Hilaire and others who have been banging the drum for this. We have to do this for them too. So I
Well,
want to, yeah,
I do want to say these last few general council meetings, because of all of the waves that I've been making and letting people know about these petitions, we've filled these stadiums in the Silver Reef Casino.
awesome,
Normally there's like 20 people in there. There's over 100 these last few meetings waiting,
yay!
just
Keep-
waiting, wanting to be involved and wanting to know what's going on. And I'm hoping to keep that going, make sure that all these people keep showing up and keep wanting to hear about these changes and make a change.
That's good to hear. Again, 2 states away. I don't get to see that side of it, so thank you. I think if it's okay with you, I'd like to have you back on maybe in a week or so,
Yeah.
and just kind of see how it went Tuesday. And then I'm actually on vacation next week, so I'm
Okay.
trying to do little as possible next week. But yeah, I'd like to see if we can set some time the following week and and just kind of talk about how it went, what the next steps are, etc. And then just refer to this video for anybody that wants to know what we're doing. They can go back to this video and watch it. But Teresa Ray, thank you so much for your time and all the work you're doing, to try to help make change.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on.
All right, thanks so much to Teresa Ray, Bumatay. That was great conversation, and great work you're doing again to help with changes that I know since I was a little boy, and I'm 50 years old, that we all believe need to happen. And as long as, again, I know some people say, Lummi has gotten worse than the BIA. You've heard that phrase 100 times, right? That we put up our own bureaucracies, our own policies and procedures that work against change. And I think that overall, if you're not progressing, that's what they say in life. If you're not growing, you're dying. And I know that I'm not saying that the tribe is dying, because I know that enrollments is up and we're doing really well there. But in terms of progression of the living spaces, the way that processes are done to help make things easier, whether it's healthcare or education or finding a job. A lot of us moved to Southern Lummi because we cannot find a job up there. I literally could not find a job to literally save my life. And so when the opportunity for me to move away from Lummi happened, and I could get a job that I literally was a family wage job, it was, 6 figures. It allows me to have a better lifestyle and be able to make sure that I've got food on the table, the power and the lights are on all the time. I took it. Would I have loved to have the ability to work at home in Lummi? Absolutely. But the way that things have been going, you guys, working for the tribe, I have nightmares that I'm working for tribal council. I mean, I'll say that publicly. And I don't want to work for tribal government at all in my last 10 years of my professional career before I retire. I want, it's just the we're trying to do things to improve Lummi Nation. And I know that the council members that get elected, I know they're trying their best. I know that they are also trying their worst. I know that they live by and benefit from this constitution that gives them the supreme authority. That's what sovereignty is, the supreme authority to do whatever they want and how they want to do it, instead of being told by the majority of the people that live there and those of us that don't, that this is what we want. We want to live in a safe community. We want our kids to stay away from drugs and alcohol. We want good family wage jobs. We want to be able to be treated fairly and not, be fired over stupid things or over personal grievances. We want our leadership to be qualified to run a government of, multi-million dollar, millions of dollars of revenue coming in from our casino. Now, the one thing I want to mention too is this new what's it called, place where folks go for help on their drug addictions and things that right. I can't remember what it's called. Forgive me, but those kind of Medicaid and Medicare reimbursements that the tribe is going to get for that is millions. We're talking a lot of money. The potential is for millions of dollars a month coming in from those reimbursements and insurance copays and you need a dedicated group of leaders that know how to read, they know how to write, they know how to ask those questions, they know how to look for discrepancies, they know how to listen and be able to offer to the rest of the council what they heard and offer recommendations, by the way, not just gripe on council, but then to say, this is what I think we should try. Being able to evaluate our services. The council should be doing that work. That's what they're paid to do. That's what they're, even if they weren't paid to do, that's what they were voted in to do. Are they doing any of that? Are they telling you what is happening with the government? Are they given the space to be given those updates? You know what I mean? Yes, I mean they are. Look what I'm doing, right? You're watching this right now. You're listening to this space. There's opportunity for us, you guys, to improve. And even if the work that Teresa Ray is doing to try to improve Lummi Nation does not come to fruition, the wonderful visions that she has, and that a lot of folks that signed those petitions agreed with her on. It's the fact that she's trying. And yeah, sometimes it's to the point where you're so pissed off that the government failed that you do act. And it's my hope that she continues the fight, continues the improvement. It doesn't mean a fight, but like the passion, continues the passion. Because when some of us were out there helping homeless folks in Lummi, none of us got paid. It was the passion that got us through it, and hoping to God that that's what happens, that, more people will join her and figure out how to build a coalition. A general council coalition is what we need, you guys. We all should know who is an 18 and older person. We've got a database of phone numbers. We can send a full text message one time to, 1,500 tribal members to do something, whatever that is. The more that we're united as a people, the better off, and we're going to get what we want. But the councils, not saying this one, but over the decades, have loved the fact that general council doesn't come to meetings. They don't go to committee boards or commission public comment periods. They want voters, mostly, a lot of councils, folks I talk to, they want less general council involvement. Why? Because they're benefiting from this constitution, you guys. Nobody is watching what they're doing because nobody has the ability to tell them what to do. In the Constitution, they are the supreme authority. So something has to change. Think about all the things I said about the communities down here in California, what they're doing, why they're thriving, why they are thriving. They're not perfect. They've got their beefs and their complaints and things that they wish were improved, but they're way better off than they were years ago. And that's all I'm asking for. I want Lummi to improve every year, incrementally. It doesn't have to be big, gigantic steps, but just incrementally, so that when I'm an elder, I'm a elder in training now, 50 years old, but when I'm a true elder, I could say, wow, we've come a long way on this reservation. We're doing a lot better, and people are thriving living here at Lummi Nation. So anyway, thanks so much again for joining me. Thanks again to Teresa Ray Bumatay for being my first guest on Southern Lummi. Until next time, my family, my friends and relatives, thank you so much, and have a great, great day.